All right, Eric, here we are. Baltimore this time. What are our threats?
We got a bunch that I came up with this evening. The first one that I thought of is it's late, it's midnight, we're delayed.
Yeah,
So just making sure that we do an honest self analysis of our current rest situation and make sure that we're fit for duty.
sure.
Also, let's make sure the gate agent's going to be trying to get us out the door. So let's make sure we got a bunch of open things we still got to take care of. So let's take our time with it and make sure they don't rush us out of here.
Okay.
In addition to that, we've got the deferred APU. So we are going to have to do the engine start with air start unit here at the gate. So we'll familiarize ourselves with that procedure. Also, we're going to have to find a good spot to do a cross bleed start. So we'll just make sure we find a spot that's not too icy or anything like that on the taxi out.
Okay.
We also have maintenance currently has our logbook for that write-up that the inbound crew had for the Wi-Fi. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. I have a feeling that they're just going to defer it.
Okay.
If that's the case, we'll verify that they signed it off correctly,
Sure.
that they transferred it to the DMI log, that we got the sticker, the numbers match, and then we'll also make sure we get the amendment from dispatch. So we're still waiting on all of that.
Okay.
I noticed on the PDC, we kind of talked about it already, but we had that reroute,
Yeah, I
which
saw that.
changed our transition on the departure.
Up towards McRae.
Yeah, it gave us the McRae transition.
Yeah.
With that, the top altitude on that departure goes from 17 down to 16. Now the PDC is still clearing us to 4 initially,
Okay.
but once they give us climb via, it's only going to be up to 16,000 unless they assign a different altitude.
Okay.
Um,
I'm going to write that here
Perfect.
just to countermeasure for that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds good. In addition to that, we're going to need some more gas. So we're waiting on dispatch to respond. But with that reroute all the way out to LA, we're showing that we don't have enough gas to do it. The winds are in there and everything. So
Okay.
we'll just have to wait on the new fuel load from dispatch. We'll make sure we get that and get fueled appropriately.
Sounds good.
And also we'll need amendment for being more than 100 miles off of our route.
Okay.
So we're waiting on that as well.
Okay.
Taxi out of here, it's snowy, so let's do a 2-engine taxi. When you do your after start flow, let's leave the flaps at 0. So we'll try to remember to leave
Okay.
those there.
Okay.
Also, we'll start the procedure, the de-ice procedure in the QRM while we're still here at the gate. There's a bunch of steps we can knock out there.
Okay.
When we get out there, it looks like on the company page, de-icing, it's
Yes.
showing 131.75 for the Freak. They're showing right by 2.8 in
Yeah.
the de-ice pad there, bay 5 or 6.
Okay.
So we'll see what they're going to give us there.
Sure.
But that'll work out pretty good for our 2.8 departure.
Okay.
Shouldn't be any issues with the holdover time. Off of 2.8, we usually get that intersection uniform 1 departure.
Yep.
So let's make sure we put that
In narrow
in
data.
arrow data,
Okay.
so we get the correct numbers with a condition code of 5, 5, and 5.
Got it.
Right. As we're blasting off out of there, we do have pretty strong winds.
I saw that.
Gust into 210, gust at 25, gust 35.
Correct. Correct.
So it looks like it's going to be full forward on the side stick until we get to 100, 80 to 100. And just keep an eye on our directional control. It shouldn't be too much of an issue with a 555 condition code,
Yeah.
but we'll
All
keep an
that
eye on
wind
it. And if it gets sketchy, we'll just reject.
Okay.
Once we do get airborne, we talked about the departure, and the only other thing I had for a threat was the glide slopes out of service for 2.8.
Okay.
3.3 left is closed. So
Okay.
basically, if we have to pop back into here, our only option is the RNAV to 2.8.
Okay.
And I did see that you put that in the secondary.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. We'll be overweight as well.
Yep. Good point.
For that.
Yep. We'll be
Yeah.
overweight, so we'll have to run the overweight landing checklist.
Okay.
I know that's a lot. I think that's all I have.
Yeah, that is quite a bit, but you did a great job covering it all. I don't think we missed anything on that.
Okay.
Okay, so I know you mentioned 2-engine taxi, but because of our current condition with the APU deferred, we'll do our best to get the 2 engines quickly, but we will have to do the crossbleed start. So parked over at the Delta gates then, as far as our plan of action to head on out of here. 2 engine taxi, as you mentioned, very typical. They give us Charlie. We'll head out to the de-ice area. Again, just I'm always used to getting those flaps moving.
Okay.
A little bit of a
Keep an eye
different
on it.
scenario, so keep an eye out on this. And then we'll head on down to runway 28. Our CAM code looks pretty good as of now. Uniform 1, I'll be sure we send that off in aero data, nice and long runway. We got the TERPS departure, and we're going to still be climbing out at 4,000 for the PVC, so that's
Yep.
what we have. Squawk code is set at 0265.
Okay.
And as you've already mentioned, the return plan will be back to runway 28 with the RNAV since the glide slope is out of service. So just something also in here, overweight, as you already mentioned. As far as any contingencies, lots of things going on. Obviously, we have an aircraft that not ideal with the APU. We have weather that's not ideal.
Yep.
We have a lot of not ideals, right?
Yeah.
Where it's a late departure. So I like that self-assessment, fit for duty type thing that you were talking about. We'll be mindful to slow down. Just kind of want to reiterate as well that because this is happening and there's a lot going on, we don't leave here without the logbook.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll just be sure to keep our head on a swivel and back each other up. And I think that pretty well covers a fairly lengthy list of threats. But do you think we missed anything? Do we need to add anything to that?
I don't think we missed anything. We'll just make sure, like we said, we take our time with it. We'll make sure we get the logbook, the amendment, and let's as soon as we wrap up here, let's take a look at the that de-ice procedure. We'll start the first few steps of that, as well as the air start.
Yeah, and the crossbleed and all that. Great. Sounds good.
Perfect. Nothing
All right.
else to add. Good
No.
brief.
Excellent.